Hey, this is Adam from 100K Blueprint, and today I wanted to share a rather unique Adsense 100K Blueprint success story with you.
What you're about to watch is an interview with an average guy who was able to grow his first Adsense site from zero to over $130 a day with no previous internet marketing experience or advanced computer skills. This is a guy who had never developed a website before or worked on any online projects, and he was able to accomplish this while working a full-time job and devoting about 4 to 8 hours a week towards the project. Now, I'd mentioned earlier that this was sort of a unique success story, and you're probably wondering why. Well, this isn't just anyone I'm interviewing here. This is James, who's a very close friend of mine. I've known the guy since we were about 3 years old. We grew up on the same street together, and we've been close friends for quite some time. Now, hold on a second. I know what you're thinking. Of course the guy's going to do well. He's best friends with the creator of the product, right? Well, that's the beauty of this. The guy did 99% of the work on his own. Sure, I gave him a free copy of Adsense 100K Blueprint, but other than that, he did the work on his own, and man, am I ever proud of the guy. So I hope that the interview is both informative and inspiring for you, because I know that motivation can play a huge role in your success. So I think that you'll find this really helpful, and enjoy.
I was familiar with the work Adam was doing maybe 3 or 4 years ago, probably when he was starting out on this. And I remember him showing me his AdSense account and the money he's made, and he said, "You should try this." And at the time, I was like, "Yeah, good idea." Obviously, like most people, I was studying and working, and I guess 3 or 4 years had gone by. I approached Adam without even knowing he was doing the blueprint, probably in about November of 2010, and that's when he told me that he was releasing a book, an ebook on what he was doing, and that's kind of how I started into this.
Okay, so tell everybody what your goals are, what motivates you, what made you get into this, why did you want to start building the sites? I think you explained this to me when you approached me and asked me about the whole thing, but tell everybody sort of why you're really into this.
What got me into this in the first place, I guess it'd be 2 factors. Right now my girlfriend's out of the country studying, and the amount of time I get to spend with her isn't as much as I would like. I do get some vacation time from work, but not as much as I'd like. I'd like to spend more time with her and not have to bring her to where I am all the time or go down to where she is all the time, and that we both have more free time to be together. That was an incredibly motivating factor for me. But one of the main factors is I do have a spinal condition that does make some of the careers I used to be involved in difficult, and even my current career, it sometimes makes it difficult. And for my health, the best thing I could possibly do is find a way to work at home. So I knew it would be a procedure to get going with, and I knew I didn't have a lot of time, but I wanted to at least start working on this. So I started there with a topic that I knew. I actually started with something I studied in school. The research numbers, if you go based on a blueprint, are okay. I don't say it's was the best topic to pick, but it ended up.
You ran it by me a little bit, but I can't remember. Again, explain a little bit more. I can't even remember because it was how many months ago when you started it?
When I started it, Adam thought it might be able to generate about $25 to $50 a day, and he thought maybe 25-ish would be kind of where it would go, and 50 if it does good.
So I gave you a thumbs up on it.
You gave me a thumbs up on it, yeah. I would have been happy with it making $10 a day just because I studied it, and I thought if I can write about the things that I actually know and spent time studying in school, then even if that only makes me $10 or $20, at least I know that this thing is possible for me to do and replicate and be a part of. So that's how I started with this first blueprint site. It ended up being a lot of work, and I put a lot more work into it than I probably would have envisioned in the beginning, but at the same time I wouldn't say I've been a consistent person. I do have a job where I'm required to work 50 or 60 hours a week, and my time comes and goes, and sometimes I'm too exhausted to want to sit down and write an article after work. And I've gone through numerous periods, especially in the first 4 or 5 months, where I wasn't as consistent as I would like. Once I started seeing the money coming in, I started getting a lot more consistent. But
the money definitely motivates. And you know what? You have a lot of reasons to be motivated, and that's something that makes a huge difference in terms of anybody's success. I know for my success, maintaining the motivation, figuring out what makes you, strive for your goals and reach your goals is a huge factor for sure. So you have a lot of motivation, like you said. Once you see some money come in, it's a huge motivator right there.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kind of builds on itself, and the momentum, once you get some momentum going, it's great. So just tell us a little more about how you chose the niche that you did, and sort of what made it, more about your site, more about how you started it out.
Okay, the way I started the site out is, as I said earlier, it's a site that is on a topic that I actually studied. I went to school for 9 years, and I have numerous different degrees and diplomas in different topics, and this is one of the topics that I studied, and I thought, based on some research, as I said, I had okay numbers, that if I could generate money on something I already know, at least I'm earning money in something that I studied, because I don't work in anything that I studied at the moment. But the site itself started off really following the blueprint, and I guess that's where you're almost not sure what you're doing. You're just trying to follow these instructions, and you're trying to put out 3 articles a week, and you're trying to do a squidoo blog with smaller articles. And I think, if anything, the quality of the articles that I'm putting out has increased and increased and increased over the time. And it obviously helps knowing the topic, but I started out trying to make it like a blueprint to get traffic to the site, which works. And my idea over time, as it started generating money, was to, can I make this site as user-friendly as possible? Basically, if someone wanted to know about this topic, they could find whatever they needed to find out about it on this site. So I thought that might have a negative effect on my CTR a little, but I thought it would have a positive effect on the traffic. This technique was not even really targeting keywords that you would think 1,000 searches. They're literally 150, 200 search keywords, but they were very relevant to what people would be looking for across the United States for this particular niche. And it managed to double the traffic, and it was simply just expanding on the initial traffic that the blueprint had started bringing me. And I guess the only thing I could say to people that are building blueprints is you just don't really stop. I think if I had stopped at 30 pages of content and said this doesn't work because I only made $12 or $13 in a month, I would have missed out on the growth I've seen over the last 4 months.
Okay, so just tell us a little bit more about your experience level. I know that this was your first site that you've ever built. Now, did you have any background in terms of knowing internet marketing, or anything to do with computers, coding, anything like that?
No, I don't have any background with coding or any of that kind of stuff. It's really been, for me, I've kind of an inquisitive mind no matter what I work at. So I've kind of started to learn the coding myself, trial and error. I've made big mistakes with it, and sometimes I've had positive outcomes with trying certain coding things myself. As far as internet marketing goes, I've read a lot about it in the last 6 months, that's for sure. I think I have a basic understanding, but when I started, if you asked me what ClickBank was, or even, I knew what Adsense was because of Adam, but I didn't even know what ClickBank was. So that would tell you probably where my knowledge base was at when I started this.
Was it, the fact that you didn't know any coding or how to build these sites, like, was that a big setback at the beginning in terms of time? Like, how were you able to focus enough time on actually building the site when you had to learn how to put them together?
I almost spent way more time learning how to put them together. I probably would get home from work and spend countless hours changing colors, changing where I have my AdSense placed. And that probably in the first 2 or 3 months slowed down the progression of the site quite a lot. But I feel like it's not the worst thing in the world, because I was kind of learning how to manipulate and move around things with WordPress themes. I'm pretty confident and comfortable in WordPress themes 6 months, 7 months after I started this. But yeah, in the beginning, I pretty much wasted quite a lot of my time, and I don't have a lot of time because of my full-time job. So.
And I'll give you a lot of credit. I mean, you did email me a few times here and there, but you really didn't. You didn't really use me that much. I mean, you figured stuff out yourself, which was good, because that's ultimately how you learn stuff. I mean, is doing it yourself hands-on. That's how I learned stuff too. I didn't have a background when I got into this myself, so doing all this stuff on your own is really the ultimate way to learn how to do it properly, right? So tell us a little more. I know you're working full-time. You were working full-time when you started this. So tell us about how many hours you had to spend to build the site to the level that it's at right now. How many hours a week were you working on it? You know, how much time were you putting into it to build it to this point?
If anyone's read on the forum, has read any of the posts I've made, I would say I've actually been quite inconsistent at times. I wouldn't say week on, week off, but I would say for sure once a month in the beginning I would probably miss an entire week at times. And at times I'd be a little more motivated. The bulk of the work I've done has been recently, once the site started to climb.
Once you see the money coming in.
Yeah, it's almost everything I've done since then almost seems to make it increase even further. So it's really motivated me to start being very consistent with the site. And again, I think you need to have one site successful to understand that this is possible. And again, I mean, if this is possible for a site that really has a decent payout, but CPC, but it doesn't have a great search volume, it kind of shows you even sites with smaller search volumes should still be able to generate a decent amount of money. You know, that $25 to $50 that the blueprint says. It gives me pretty good confidence that I can replicate this numerous times over, and that's kind of my next goal.
That's awesome, man. So this guy, everyone, this guy has built the site. First I should ask you, how many hours a week would you say? Just, what do you think, how many hours a week have you worked on it?
I probably averaged about 3 to 4 hours, but I mean, how productive those hours were.
Right. They're getting more productive. At the beginning you were...
Yeah, now when I'm on, right. It's literally... I know what backlinks I'm going to do. If the articles I'm writing, I know exactly what I'm going to be writing, and I can usually pump out a decent article in half an hour now. That is, maybe most of my articles will be 700 to 1,000 words, sometimes more. I'd say now at this point I'm probably up to maybe 7 to 10 hours a week on the site in the last probably month only. But again, the amount that it's grown in the last month, I think most of you would be double or triple the amount of work you're doing in something if you started to see you're almost making as much on one side as you did at the job you were currently working at.
That's awesome. So I mean, you know, guys, to put this in perspective, James has, you know, with no knowledge at all, 3 to 4 hours a week here from when he started. He's built a site that's generating thousands of dollars a month, which is as much or more than a lot of people are earning now at their full-time job. And he's built an asset here that he can easily sell for at least $40,000, and easily he could sell it literally within days. Okay, so just at this point, tell us where you want to take this from here. What are your goals, your future goals here? Now that you've built this site, you've built an asset that's producing great income. You've seen that it's real, and you obviously can reproduce this. So what are your goals in the future now? You want to replace your job. What point do you have to get to in order to do that?
To replace the income at my job, I'm probably halfway there at this point. I'd like to be a little bit above that, and I'd probably like to have 4 or 5 sites generating money. I mean, the internet is a little bit more risky than most other businesses, but at the same time, everything you could basically say is a risk. But if I had, say, $300 a day, I would be very comfortable deciding that this is what I want to do. And at the same time, if it gets to that level, I feel like you have to take advantage of an opportunity. If you learn how to do something and you're able to replicate it and be good at it in 5 to 10 hours a week, what could you accomplish doing it full time? So my next step is to have 4 other sites of my own that I would like to really start working quite more intensively on, as I've kind of just let them sit there after kind of doing the research and buying the domains and maybe putting, you know, doing the original pages, and now they're just kind of sitting. And I feel like some of those have even better search volumes than the original site that I did, and similar CPC payouts. So
that's awesome. That's great. Okay, so what I want to do now here is just gonna have James log into his AdSense account, and we can just look over some of the numbers so you guys can see from sort of the get-go here what the site was earning, what it's at now, and as you can see that it's real. Whenever you're ready, man, you can log in there. Okay. Okay, so we're still here. We just logged in just to give you guys a quick look at the numbers here. So at 100 a day, 136 yesterday, about 1,600 so far this month, so that's going to be a good month. You're going to be over 3,000 this month. That's huge. Last month you're at 1,745. Maybe if we can go over some of the previous month's stats, so you can see how the site sort of built up to this point.
So here we are in James's account, and we can kind of get a nice overview of the earnings by month in this particular scenario. So if we take a look here, starting out in March, $85 for that month, $316 in April, $954 in May, $1,745 in June, and then July he has hit $3,356 so far. So it's going to be close to 36 or 3,700 this month. So great month, and just great to see these stats. It motivates me and makes me want to get working harder on my sites. So I hope this is motivational to you guys and helps you succeed.